Hey guys, how you doing? It's me, Jane. And today I just decided to color in this trade that I'm doing with Girl Melancholy. You can check out her channel, it's super cool. Where we did a trade. And I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to talk about how I color things. Because I've been getting some questions recently on like what's my method. And basically, I can't really tell you exactly what to do because I don't know everything, right? But at the same time, I'll do my best to give you some tips. So what I have here first is a sketch, and as you can see, I'm currently coloring in different pieces in their respectful colors on different layers in a really nice textured brush. You don't have to use the textured brush, but I find it works best because, I mean, that's just the result I like. Sorry, I've had that in my throat for like the last minute, and it's probably why I was like choking on my own spit. But anyway, yeah, basically, you just want to keep it on different layers, and the reason for that is because you may want to change the color of a certain piece, and you can tweak around with it if it's on a separate layer. If not, you'll just have it on one layer and it'll end up being all messy looking. Another thing to keep in mind is probably like the contrast between different parts. Like, you can see how the blue streaks in her hair, like you can tell that she has two little bits coming down from her bangs because of the contrast there. And so when you don't have lines to differentiate where what part ends and what part begins, contrast and color differences are your best friend. I find that coloring in like batches really helps too. So like coloring certain layers and like thinking ahead, like, oh, what's gonna be more popping out, right? And then put things in the back, like arms, a little bit darker. Like, you see how I made that one bit of blue there, a little bit darker than the jeans and the glove. Yeah, that's just for a illusion of depth, let's say. But yeah, I've found that lineless coloring is pretty relaxing, but that's just my personal preference. I've been working on my line art too because, well, just like everyone, improvement is always needed, right? But yeah, I decided I'd do this trade in the lineless style because I thought it would look good with this little character. And the character is really well drawn too there on the left. I really enjoy the way she does hair. It's got this pretty glossy look, and the anatomy is just spot on. I love it so much. But you see I took some liberties with like the colors just because I personally like a little bit more of a, I guess, zany, cartoony look. So instead of doing just straight up brown, I sort of made the shirt thing a bit of a dark raspberry color, I guess, and then shaded it with darker raspberry. But it really depends on what kind of mood you want for a piece. Like, if you want a happy piece, you should probably use more saturated colors, but remember to keep your variety in there, right? Now you'll see in this video, in this recording, I'm now going on to my next step, which is like sort of adding a little bit more contrast, and I usually do that by selecting the color and then saturating it a little more and darkening it, and then just sort of like making the tips of the hair darker and such, and then like blending it in so it has more of a three-dimensional feel. And if you leave it there, that's fine. You can have a stylized piece, but I took it a little bit further. Now with eyes, I personally really enjoy doing, you'll see here in a moment, I kind of struggle with the iris what is it, the pupil color, because I do like it when the pupil is not exactly all black, but I also want it to pop against, or at least rhyme with the color of the eye, so I finally decided on that purple there, and I thought it kind of turned out well. Next, I usually do like blush right here just to make it look a little bit more alive, you know, just like the flesh tones. I usually put the blushiness on the ears, nose, cheeks, elbows, and shoulders, but be careful not to go too crazy with it, otherwise your character is just going to be like sunburned. I usually do that with the fingers too, but at this point I had already merged the fingers, and yeah, I couldn't be bothered. Next with the hair, I kind of struggled with this, but not really too much on this character in particular, because I wasn't sure how to make the blue shine, but also not look separate from the style that I already had. So I just went in with like a different texture brush and sort of made the blue blend in with the body there. So you see how like on the scarf, I made it sort of reflect because of the reflected light. And then on another layer I added more, I guess, shape to the hair there. You can see I put a shadow to give it the illusion of, you know, form. And then I went into details on the hair. I could have done like sort of like the soft sort of work, but I decided that I liked the way just straight lines looked for the time being. So yeah, I usually don't go too deep detailed into hair, but it is nice to sort of like hint at things, like certain details like hair strands when you're doing cartoon art, because otherwise like you can totally do like the block hair, but just adding one or two lines that sort of allude to the fact that there's hair strands there. Next I'm doing the shines. These are even more details. You can do like little bars on the teeth, but I decided it would look better with this sort of like Disney smile looking thing going on here if she didn't have like cartoony barred teeth. I usually put more contrast on the face so you can tell what's going on, so that's just adding more shadows and building up certain layers until things look like separate but they blend together, you know? So that would be highlights, lowlights, yeah, all that stuff. And next I just sort of, to add some more depth, I took a brush and I wanted it to be a little bit more saturated there. You can see I was adjusting it. And so I just put sort of like a highlight there so it sort of feels like it's more of a shape rather than just flat. And then I complemented that by adding shadows. And then I think I got a little too happy with the shadows because I just kept going and going. And one of the important things that I've sort of felt with art is that, like, at the same time, you want to push yourself, but you also need to know when it's okay to stop, you know? Like, what details are necessary, what style you're aiming for, all that good stuff, you know? So now you can see I'm just going in onto the little details, and I find that details are like super important, and they're very fun to do because like just like one little stroke can make your piece look so alive, you know? I usually add details just by, like, you know, adding more illusion of shape, so that would be more lighting and stuff like that. And then I just decided what colors would be best for the shadows and the backgrounds, and figuring out like what would look complementary, you know. So there was a lot of experimenting there. And the finished results, I kind of want to do more study on like color theory, because I really love colors a lot, but at the same time I want to make things pop and be unique. I experimented here a little bit with like a little rainbow overlay. I didn't like it too much, so I made it like super pale, and then I added some texture. And I'm at this point experimenting with the piece is just everything, because there's so many details and like so many things that you can experiment with the piece, stuff that you can push around, different textures, patterns, all that good stuff, saturating, desaturating, yeah. And then most importantly, the signature, right? So that people know that it's you in all your glory. Just kidding. But yeah, you can see I'm goofing off with the colors. And I like that. I like doing that a lot. So once it was all fully saturated and I was content with the result, I went in for a few extra details. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching. Sorry that this isn't very organized, but I figured there's probably worse out there on YouTube, you know. So if you like videos like this, leave a comment or like or something so I know that you like this kind of content from me, and I'll do more sort of commentaries on art. Yeah, more little tips like that, because I kind of like doing that. Anyway, bye-bye guys!